We are back, and I will let the man of the hour introduce us. Please welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Mr. V. Trump.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. This is Comfortably Zone Radio, and it's time for Dodgers Baseball, a tale of two cities, Brooklyn to Los Angeles. I'm your host, Peter Trunk, and my co-host tonight is Ralph Tyko, the voice you heard initially. Ralph,
Introducing
how
the
are you,
introducer. Well, we'll get it down eventually. I spoke over you a little bit. Nice to be here, Peter. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Doing fine. I'm getting a new computer. I'm all excited. I'm getting my first new computer, my first new personal computer in a decade, and it's being delivered a week from tomorrow. So I'm a little bit excited because my old computer, as you probably know from past experience, when computers get old, they get bloated, they get slow, and they cause hypertension in their owners. And mine has done those three things, and I'll be glad to be rid of it 8 days from today.
You know, I myself have those symptoms.
But nobody's getting rid of you, are they? I hope not.
Well, you know, it's happened before. I don't think anybody's going to be dredging any new grounds here, but let's hope to avoid that with my dear Tally. And try to live another day above ground. Those are my three goals. I'm a simple man am I. So we're going to talk Dodger Baseball. Where do you want to start? What kind of, this is all off the cuff.
Well, you know,
we had a guest, didn't show up, and we can talk about anything. Yeah,
we had a guest who didn't show up, and but the original idea for the show was, I believe, Brooklyn Dodger facts and trivia, things like that. And to get myself on the correct page and to be up to speed, I did some homework this afternoon. I didn't write anything down, and my memory is horrible, but I did read some Brooklyn Dodger trivia today, and I want to mention one thing that I do remember that is, to me, it was shocking. Like, you know, I read like 100 trivia things about the Brooklyn Dodgers, and I knew like 75 of them, which is, that's not bragging. That's just because I'm old.
No, you're
a maven.
You're a maven. That's what gets the job. That's why we hired you. You got the job. There's a little something in the pay envelope for you there.
And the pay is so good. I know.
And no taxes.
One thing I saw was, guess who holds the Brooklyn Dodger record for stealing home in a season? Now, I'll give you the total. 7 times in one season. I'm not going to give you the season. I'm not going to give you the season because it'll give away the answer. But this one threw me for a loop because I didn't know the answer. I was wrong. I thought I knew the answer, and I would have been a couple of seconds.
You thought it was Jackie and it was Pete Reeser?
Oh, exactly. There you go. You're reading my mail, brother.
I would have said Jackie if you didn't give me the second
Well,
hint.
I'll tell you what. This trivial page that I was on, this, I don't mean to say it that way, no pun intended, this trivia page that I was on for Brooklyn, it mentioned that it was Pete Reeser in 1941. He stole home 7 times. Lifetime, however, and by the way, the American League record is 7 also. Can you answer who did that in one season?
In the American League.
I would give you the year, but I don't remember. No, Rod Carew.
Whoa.
Yeah, Rod Carew stole home 7 times.
I don't remember him being particularly fast.
That's the record. 7 times.
But
Isn't
He
that
must
weird?
have had good base running instincts.
Evidently. And
Yeah.
lifetime, of course, Jackie has 19 steals of home. Counting the World Series, Jackie has 19 steals of home. But you want to know something? He was only 61% effective in stealing home plate. He was caught 12 times. That's quite a number of times
Yeah.
in my mind,
Absolutely. But then again, the stakes are much higher, so that
Oh, yes.
home is a run, so you're more apt to take the chance, perhaps, depending on who's up and all of that.
What was the last straight steal of home that you witnessed on TV? Do you recall?
I would have to. Sadly enough, I would have to say Jackie either stealing or not stealing actually, but maybe not stealing against Yogi is. How many times do you see that? But I was a little kid then, and I'm remembering pictures. I'm not remembering it because I was less than old enough to know what was really going on. Had been to games and
seasons.
stuff. But
okay, I understand that. A few seasons ago, I'm not sure exactly how many, but not many. The kid who plays center field for the Yankees that used to play center field for the Red Sox.
Ellsbury.
What's his name?
Ellsbury.
Jacoby Ellsbury. He stole home against the Yankees a straight steal off of Pettit up in Fenway. Straight steal of home. It was not a double steal. Straight steal of home, and he dived in head first, and he was safe. There was no argument. He stole it against Pettit and the Yanks, and that, to me, was extremely thrilling. I remember watching it. It was on the Game of the Week or whatever they call it, ESPN baseball or something like that. But I saw that live, and it really was
usual is
exciting.
Sliding head first into the plate.
Yeah.
How many times
imagine
do you
that.
see that lifetime?
Oh, boy.
Very few times, because that's not the mark of an intelligent human being.
No, it's not.
Given catcher's gear, which
not
serves
to mention
other purposes, but just ignorance. It serves like you're out, but you're really out. That kind of thing. Just multifunctional. That catcher's gear. I remember Jungle Jim Rivera. And diving in like that when in 1959-ish.
Yeah, like a White Sox type of deal. He played center field for the White
against
Sox.
The Yankees on Channel 13 with. It was a little rainy that day, if I remember. I'm not that much of a crazy nut, but I do remember him being the kind of ball player that did steal home that way. Being old without being elderly as we are, it's really a privilege and nice and fun every day.
It is.
Have our memories and our sense, we remember stuff and can keep it together. And what this does, it gives us something to do besides real life. This has been a horrible week in the Bay Area. We were talking a little bit off air, and you and Linda were nice enough to think of Tally and I. There was a horrible fire within 2 miles of where we live, which is a little island off of Oakland. It's called Alameda. Across the bay from San Francisco. They had a rave party in a warehouse that was ill-equipped to be inhabited, but this warehouse also had tenants living there. and it had 2 RVs parked downstairs, and pallets nailed together as stairs. Now, all these things are fire-inducing, because pallets are sprayed with some shit that will make it easier to dispose of, to make it burn quickly.
Okay. Oh, really?
I didn't know that until this happened. And Tally, I was walking with Tally, she told me that. Didn't realize that. That was something. But they had this in the warehouse that was kind of an artist studio makeshift, underground kind of thing, with the city looking at it, and a bunch of trash outside, and RVs inside, which really made the fire go when the gas tanks exploded, and one entrance in, one entrance out, and a rave party going on, and a horrible fire. 34 young people perish. Young, talented, vibrant, wonderful people get to perish. Why? It's a clusterfuck of reasons. It's the city not looking into it properly. It's the landlord not taking care of things. It's the sub-landlord who rents out these little houses and stuff, little places to stay, lofts and what have you, underground. And it's a bunch of stuff, but it happens. Mostly what it is a shortage of housing that's affordable for people that don't make $1 million. Shortage. People working can't afford to live here. Retirees certainly can't. People live here 30 years because the rent control, this is one of the few places where rent control isn't very prevalent, and it's very, very tough for people because of gouging landlords that conspire with the city to keep rents as high as possible. In a nutshell, that becomes responsible for people dying. It becomes responsible when people die on the streets, homeless on the streets, with kids sometimes, living in automobiles, because of rents. And you say, well, why don't you move somewhere else? Well, you know what? How about my retort wouldn't be something for the radio. Yeah, so it's been a horrible week from that standpoint.
Greed,
absolutely, on every level of society, politically, in baseball, there's greed. I'm not saying that. I am saying, they just had a baseball ratifying the agreement. They just had a
CBA, right?
Of the agreement. It went very well. There's not going to be a lockout, this, that, and the other thing. And more power to them, but the minimum wage is $535,000 a year.
Right.
And somebody said it, I think it was Alan Blumkin, quoted someone on one of the shows who said, and it might have been Branch Rickey, it's not the price of stardom that's the issue. It's the price you pay for mediocrity that's the issue. And what that does, now again, not to take anything away from the skill it takes to become, even for a week, to make major league wages. Not at all. They deserve what the union gets them, what they get paid, and this, that, and the other. But don't think for a second it doesn't come right out of the fans' backside. When you got to pay,
absolutely.
I don't know how many Yankee games do you go to see, because you do okay, but how many can you go to see? As a retired person who lives well,
Not many. And I do live well. Not many at
Yeah.
all. Sometimes I go into Citi Field. Sometimes I go to Philly. And when Linda and I are meeting up with family out in L.A., I'll go to a Dodger game. But the most I'll go to is like 3 games in a season. And there are some seasons when I don't go to 3, I can only make 2. But, the cheapest seats you can get that you can still see that it's a baseball game and not the red ants against the blue ants when you sit 4 million feet away, you're going to pay good money for that. And you're going to have to park your car, and a beer is 11 or 12 bucks. And, I don't have to go through the whole litany of it, but, a long time ago, it seems to us not that long ago, but we're in our, I'm not going to say
late
30s,
30s
but
at least.
Yeah, no, 39 and a half, but, I remember back in the day when I had to scrape any monies together to go and see a ball game at the Polo Grounds or wherever, Yankee Stadium, Ebbets Field. We always, me and my buddies, if we scraped a lot of money together, we still couldn't sit in the box seats back then. But guess what? The box seats were only $3 or $3.50.
$3.25,
But,
or
but
3.5, something like that, right?
right, but we couldn't afford those seats. When we got a lot of money together, we would go, of course, see a doubleheader so we could see 2 games, and we would get the $1.25 seats, which were the ones that were way back from the box
Right.
seats. And the overhang
Right.
would be over you, and if a guy popped the ball up, you couldn't even see it. You couldn't see the pop-up because it went
And you
above
can say,
your line
well,
of vision.
there's inflation. There's inflation and there's inflation. Wait a minute. Don't give
Yeah,
me inflation.
right.
Parents
I
can't
know.
afford. They love baseball and they have memories. They cannot afford to take a family of 4 to a baseball game, but once, maybe twice a year. And
I would say
that's
once.
how.
Yes, I agree.
So how are you going to pass on the game? How are you going to pass on the love of the game when it becomes something so out of, it's just a once a year thing, twice a year. Unless you're there a lot, unless you really get a taste of it, you won't want to grow up when you get to be 15, 16. You could do it with your friends, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
what they're doing is basically, in the very, very long run, they're going to kill the cow, or whatever it is that's providing the milk, or
Kill the kid. Yeah, right. The fish that laid the golden egg.
Yes.
And yet, teams are breaking
insert your
attendance
homily.
records year after year after year. They're breaking attendance records in baseball. The
I know
Dodgers,
that.
the 3.7 million. Everybody's going. But you know what?
It's
Sometimes
corporate.
I'm watching the Dodgers.
It's corporate.
Yeah, there you go. You took the words right out of my mouth. You were quicker than I was. Sometimes I'm watching a Dodger game, and Vince Scully last season would say, tonight's attendance is 51,762. That's 51,000. And I'm looking at him going, that can't be. There's like 15,000 empty seats when a foul ball goes back. They were all empty out in left field and right field. They're totally empty. Those are the seats that were sold to the corporate guys. They don't show up all the time.
They don't get rid of them.
They don't
They
don't get rid of them. Right?
What the hell?
Right.
They're not fans anymore, and that's.
They're not. No, they're not.
It's really the sad part. Not so for. It's sad for those people who could have been fans who will miss seeing the acrobatic double play that's never been done quite the same. Close, but exactly the same, not, or something new at the ballpark that you don't see each time. It's their loss. That's the best you could say. That's sad. That's all there is to it, because it's a great game. It's sad that the playoffs and the World Series aren't played during the day, so the kids could watch it, or at least have the fun of listening to it on the radio, on the transistor with the wire going up.
Yeah.
When you're in school and you can't.
Yep.
Well, whatever turns you on when you're a kid. What do you do,
I got a
Peter?
story. Ralph, I have a little story for you that happened
All right.
back when the Mets were in the World Series. The Mets were in the World Series in 1973 against the Oakland A's, and a few of the games were played at Shea Stadium in New York City. And I lived in South Orange, New Jersey, which is a hop, skip, and a jump away from Flushing. And I used to drive Volkswagens back in those days. I would have a Volkswagen van, I have a Volkswagen camper, and there was a specialist down neck in the Ironbound section of Newark, Carlos VW Repair. And Carlos was a neighbor of mine and was a good friend. He was from Peru. And he had married a Cuban girl, okay, and they had three sons that were crazy about baseball. Just absolutely crazy. They slept with their glove on, with their Mets cap on, like they were just nuts. They knew every single thing about the Mets and this and that. Well, don't you know that some guy has his Volkswagen repaired down in Carlos's shop and says, you know something, you did such a great job and you always do such a great job for me on this car. I have 4 or 5, I don't know what he had, free passes to a box at Shea Stadium. You know what a box is? The kind that's up in Madison Square Garden or Giant Stadium or whatever. They're up in the rafters. You get free food. You sit on couches. It's air conditioned. It's those kind of boxes where the owners sit. He had a company box, and he gave him the tickets because he knew his friend Carlos, his wife, who was from Cuba, like I said, she loved baseball in the Mets, and the kids were diehard Mets fans. And Carlos got tears in his eyes in accepting these tickets. And he went home and he explained to his wife and kids at the dinner table, we're going to sit in a box next to the owner's box. It's unbelievable. I got these tickets for game, whatever number it was, I forget. And they were going crazy. The whole family was jumping up and down and dancing around. So they go in on the day of the game, and they get there, and they show the passes to the guy at the gate, and they're told where to go and what elevator to take. And when they get off, they show them again, and they go to the box, and they enter the box. And about 5, this is like doing batting practice. About 5 minutes later, a Mets official, as it turns out, it was a Mets official, some guy in a suit comes in and says, how are you folks? Can I see your tickets, your passes? And Carlos showed him the passes, and the guy said, this must be some mistake. And Carlos said, no mistake. He said, he explained to the guy, I fix automobiles over in Newark, and a customer of mine gave me these tickets and said, enjoy yourself on me, because he's a big lawyer or some crap. I don't know what he is, but, oh no, you can't sit here. You can't sit in here. He said, why not? I have the passes right here. I'm showing them to you. They got the letterhead. They got the Mets letterhead, Mr. Met and everything on them and all that stuff. He says, no, we have wonderful seats we want to show you to. And he brings them, I don't know, they weren't terrible, but they certainly weren't where he was. And they made them sit in other seats because these people were not white. They were brown people. Okay?
The Mets, not the Yankees.
And they actually, the wife started to cry. Carlos got angry instead of sad. And the kids, they didn't really care because they were at a World Series game anyway. And they were young, and they were full of pep and piss and vinegar, and they had a great time. But he told that story to me the next time I saw him, which was only a couple of days after the game, and I almost choked up from anger and just I couldn't believe my ears about the story. And that happens more times than you and I will ever know about, Ralph Tyko. That happens. in this great country of United States of America. It happens back in 1973. You know it happened in 63, 53, 43, 33, and 23. And you know it happens in 03 and 13 and 23, 2023, and it's just going to keep on happening.
President of the United States.
That really puts a pin in your balloon.
He cannot appoint the Supreme Court. They hold that up. He's the president right now. They hold that up. Is that only because he's black? Is there any other reason? Is that the last thing they're going to say? We're going to slap you in the face with this one.
Right.
This is
and of course, we all know that's the only reason. We all know that's the only reason, right? It's the only reason. Only reason.
Never been done.
And,
nothing like that's been done. There's nothing, no precedent for the way Congress on the opposite aisle has treated a president. And to be honest with you, he's made mistakes. He hasn't reached out and all that stuff.
Oh, sure.
Diplomatic stuff. But you know what? These are hard people to reach out to. It's hard. These are good old country people. And thank you, Mr. President, for reaching out. But, these are people that burn the silverware. You bury the silverware after you left.
Yeah.
And it's just sad how polarized we are as people. Not surprising.
No.
But sad. Yeah.
But see, Ralph, this is what makes people cynics. This is what turns people off. People who think and read and have knowledge in their, and this is what burns their ass. This is why they say, why vote? Some people. Why vote? Why register? Why do anything? Why get a Social Security card? Why stand up during the national anthem? Why do this? Why do that? It never ends. Why? And, you and I have spoken about this more than 2 times. We've spoken about this maybe 5 or 7 times, either when we were together in New York or on the phone or wherever, or instant messaging or whatever, years ago, some months ago, some days ago, whatever. And we will never know. You and I will never know how it is to walk through this country as a black man, or drive a car as a brown or a black man. We will never know. We can say we think we know. We might know. We sort of have a clue. We have this much knowledge. We have this. We don't know anything about it. We don't know how it is every single time they leave their home and they get in their car or they walk to the bus stop or they do whatever they do. They go into a store, whatever they do. We, having white privilege, we take that for granted. We don't even know we have it. The vast majority of us, and when I say us, I mean white males in America, don't even realize that they have this gift, if you want to call it a gift, that they're white. They don't get stopped.
Hey, I co-raised
Excuse me, sir, where do you think you're going? We don't get that.
Peter, I co-raised a foster child who was black, and I saw what he went through in the school system in the lily white Alameda, and I saw it all. How the cops treated him, how the mindset of the people, who are you, where are you, just constantly as a kid. You get that. You get it from the liberal people. You get it from quote the liberal people.
Yeah,
it is what it is, and it's we're talking Jackie in 47. Man, that was 80 years too late at that point.
No wonder he died at age 53.
Nice of you. Babe Ruth had to have some black ancestry. I mean, just had to have. That's it, no question about it. It's a crazy freaking world. That's was 1947, and we're going on 80 years. Yeah, this is craziness. I don't know what it is. I don't know, but it's not just this country. You go to Europe, there's a lot of neo-Nazi shit going on. It's just a worldwide epidemic of stupidity or failure to evolve, or just not there that day when they taught humanity. I was absent. I didn't. Was that went on? Oh, really? Got by me.
Right.
So there you go, Peter. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
We have a show or what?
But it's true. Yeah. Yeah.
We enjoyed chatting. I did, at least. And,
of course.
to those out there, we got some baseball in, we got some real life in, and that's the way it goes. Dodger Baseball, Tale of Two Cities, from Brooklyn to Los Angeles, a comfortably zoned radio production. Catch you next week on the Flip Flop, Peter.
Thank you, Ralph.
Good night. Enjoy your company. And to you out there, I'll just say keep on keeping on. See y'all next week.
Okay.